Welcome back to my channel. If you don't know, my name is Cindy Ball and I live in the Rockies of Montana currently in a 200 square foot cabin with an attached bathroom that I measured, and it is 47 square feet. I work here at a guest ranch and it is a fabulous summer job. It's a little bit longer than the summer. Usually I get here in March and I'm here till the end of October. But one of the things that we have every year, and this year was no different, is bear training. Outside of Alaska, where I live here in the Rockies, and we're just outside of the west entrance to Yellowstone, we have the most grizzly bears other than Alaska. And so bear training is super important, not just for our wranglers who take guests out on the trail rides up into the mountains, but also for any of our employees who work here at the ranch, because we do have bears that come down into the ranch. Last year in the middle of the night, I heard a noise and Piper sat up on the bed and kind of growled a little bit low. And I was like, you know, what is that? You're just never sure around here. It could be moose, it could be elk, it could be bear. And the next morning we got up and sure enough, there on the road right outside of my cabin, it's a dirt road, so we could see there were paw prints, and this grizzly was just meandering down this dirt road in front of our cabins, our guest cabins, and went down to the end of the ranch and then headed off into the woods. And so you just never know. We've had grizzlies this year. A couple weeks ago, I got a text and there's like, Cindy, there's a grizz on the other side of the road. So I ran over to the bunkhouses with the kids, and sure enough, there was a grizzly up on the other side of the road, up in the woods, and there was a clearing, and there were a bunch of, I think it was wolves that were coming after this grizzly. He was eating something. I don't know if he stole their food or what it was, but these wolves kept poking at him, trying to get him to leave. And so he was determined to stay. And so it was just really interesting. I had binoculars so I could see a little bit better, but it was just really interesting to watch the back and forth between the wolves and the grizzly bear that was there. And we've since seen him a couple more times. So it is not unusual for us to have grizzly bears that come onto the ranch, nor is it unusual for us to see black bears, which are also here. But it feels like the grizzlies are more predominant. I live at the base of a mountain, and up behind us, it's called Wilson, and there's a lot of bears that are up there. And so I'm a little bit reticent to hike up there. My first year here, you know, really not knowing this area very well. Piper and I went up that mountain. There's a trail ride that goes up there, and I thought, oh, we'll just hike it because it goes up one side of ranch and comes down on the backside. And I got up there and I was out of breath. Part of it was just the altitude where we are, because we're at 6,500 feet. And some of it was just being so badly out of shape. And so was hiking up there, sat down on a log just to rest for a bit, and heard some crashing in the woods, in the forest. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just know it's a grizzly. And of course we carry bear spray with us all the time, even here on ranch. And so I started running. More than that, I started yelling really loudly. I'm sure Piper thought I had lost my mind, and got up to the peak. The crashing stopped and I didn't hear any more. And then we were coming down the backside of the mountain, and don't you know, now knowing what I had done, I would have reacted totally different. But there was a carcass, an elk carcass that was there, and it wasn't that old of a carcass. And there could have been every chance that I could have come upon a grizzly that was eating this carcass that was there. But thankfully, there was none. Piper and I made it safely down and back to the ranch. But oh my gosh, I actually took pictures. I mean, I stayed long enough to take pictures and was oohing and aahing over this carcass. And yeah, I would not do that today. I would get out of there really quickly. So anyways, lots and lots of bear stories that we have from the ranch. Last year, just a real quick black bear story. We had a young one. So when they turned about 2, their moms kind of shoved them off. You know, it's time for you to grow up and leave, because they've had cubs over the winter. And so this little guy just wasn't really sure what he was doing. And so he was hanging around the ranch because, of course, there's ready available food. Now we tell all our guests, and none of us, we do not feed the bears here because if they become too tame or too aggressive around food sources like trash cans, or like we have a big trash compactor behind the restaurant, and if they become too territorial, like around that type of thing, then we have to call the forest rangers, and they come out and they would have to trap them and take them away if they become a threat to people. So, and that would have been our fault if we had done that. So we really discourage anybody from trying to get close, or, you know, feeding them especially. But anyways, this little guy was kind of hanging around the front office up behind it, because we're right at the base of this mountain, and there's, you know, a thick grove of pine trees. And so anyways, one day he was off to the side, sitting in the bushes, eating berries, and we're like, oh my gosh, this guy's getting too close. You know, it's just too close for that. And he was super cute. So we got lots of pictures of him. And a couple weeks later, he kind of figured out, because the Forest Service guys came and they actually gave us rubber bullets. So we wouldn't have hurt him, but it definitely would have scared him. But he ended up going anyway. I think he figured it out. Like, I shouldn't be here. So he left. But one of the times when he was hanging around, we have a chuck wagon, and it's down, we call it the Point, but it's right off of the Gallatin River, and we have a whole bunch of picnic tables that are lined up there. And one of the kids in the wagon, so we take a chuck wagon down there, and that's how we get our guests down there and then back from this dinner. And then one of the kids saw him sitting on a rock real close to where they have their dinner. And so our head maintenance guy and one of the guys that was working with him came rushing to the front office, and they're like, give us bear spray, give us bear spray. And so you would think, with all the noise from all the people, and we're running horses back and forth, that he wouldn't have been. But nope, he knew that food was being spread out down there, and that people would drop stuff. So he was just waiting. He was waiting for his turn to come and enjoy the chuck wagon dinner. Once a year, after our employees get, or most of our employees get here for the summer, we do a bear training. It is hilarious. The first part is just lecture, and the Forest Service guy, he comes and he talks about, you know, the grizzly bears, the difference between a grizzly and a black bear, and how you should approach him, and what you should do if you see one, and the difference between a defensive bear and an aggressive bear. And so he goes through all that, because we have other ranches around here, and so they send over their wranglers or their people that might be taking others out on hikes and stuff like that. And anybody, I mean, really in this area, anybody should get bear training, because they're all over the place. I took a bunch of pictures, and I just thought it would be fun to show you all what it looks like when we do bear training. The best part is they have a mechanical grizzly bear, if you will. And grizzlies, when they're running at you, if they're being defensive of either their cubs, so a sow, if she would come at you, or if there's a food source that they're trying to protect, they can run up to 40 miles an hour, and that's fast. And so he has canisters that look like bear spray, but they're filled with something different, not the bear spray, because that would be terrible. It's a pepper oil, but a really, really strong pepper oil that's in there. And the whole purpose of the bear spray is to create this big cloud of pepper spray, because their noses are 700 times more sensitive than a human's. And so once that pepper spray gets on their nose, most of the time, as he said, 92% or not, closer to 99% of the time, they will turn and run, because it's so painful to them to have this pepper spray on them. So you're supposed to, you know, spray towards the ground to create like this cloud wall, and hope that the bear gets to it before he gets to you. And so anyways, we gave the kids opportunity to, he gave the opportunity to the kids to try and spray this mechanical bear that was coming at them at 40 miles an hour. Enjoy the videos. They're hilarious, and the kids did a great job. And yep, our wranglers, I know this summer will all run into bears, because it happens every year. And we will have some that are on ranch, because it happens every year. But now I feel like, you know, everybody's prepared. So if you happen to be in this area outside of Yellowstone, in the Montana area, please be sure that you have bear spray with you, because while the attacks are few and far between, they actually do happen. And so to be prepared with your bear spray is much better. And again, if you're out hiking in a group, it's much, much better because typically they will run from humans. They don't want to interact with us as much as we don't want to interact with them. This was bear training week, and here are the shots of our kids and some of the other ranchers that are working at the other ranches around here, training on how to spray properly a grizzly bear that's running at you. Enjoy.
But you need to have it accessible. It needs to be somewhere you can get to it fast. Most of our encounters are surprise encounters that happen really quickly. So it needs to be either on your hip or on a chest holster or somewhere where you can get to it very fast. If it's in your pack, you're losing half a second, 2 seconds to get to that. If a bear is running at you, it just immediately sees you and then runs at you at 35 miles an hour, you may not have time to get that out of there. There we go for it. Okay, whoa. That's good. I have heard bears. Here it comes. Go ahead. Okay, there you go. You're going a little high. You need to come down. I like that. Nice. Not bad. You started out really low and then you adjusted up. You realized you were going too low. That was good. I like it.
You're running at the bear at the end.
So when you spray, it looks like you kind of went sprayed up like that.
He is charging the beat him up, get either.
That was a good angle. That was good back.
I don't want to do it.
I like how you started out, you were high, and then you adjusted down. Yeah, you're supposed to do it first. Good. Hold on. Sorry.
Cocaine bear.
There you go. Nice. Good angle. You can even go a little bit further out, just a little bit. Either way, slowly. Nice job.